Hello, my name is Evan Medeiros from thetraderisk.com. I will be your tour guide throughout this Worden TC2000 Foundation series. I've been trading since 2009 and I've been a Worden customer for nearly as long. My background's computer science and I've spent a lot of time writing custom scans, indicators, watch list columns for myself and as a service to thousands of traders just like you. Once you get done with this video, you want to check out the other guides we have on our channel. And on our website, you'll find plenty more TC2000 resources, including free downloads available for you as well. And now, let's get on to today's lesson. In today's lesson, I am excited to talk about scanning. This is my favorite topic. This is what I love to use TC2000 for. We are going to specifically be looking at the point and click no coding version of scanning in TC2000. So we're not looking at the PCF syntax in this video. We're going to do a separate video on that. So if all you care about is the custom coding aspect of this and learning how to, manipulate some code and to build scans a little more specifically, we've got part 2 coming in just a little bit, so hold on for that one. In this one, though, we're going to spend time just overviewing scanning, all the functionality you have in the window condition set, and building everything at your fingertips that TC2000 gives you, okay? Now, if we take even just a brief moment back into history, going all the way back to, say, their telechart days or just the early innings of TC2000, this, in my opinion, was always what they excelled at. It was the real-time scanning of market data, and I still think they do a tremendously good job. It is tough to find other platforms that have just, again, the real-time on-demand sort of harnessing of scanning the market with rather complex conditions, because you can do some pretty neat things and get some very visible, quick results back to you in an instant, and it's hard to find that elsewhere. So let's start here. We are looking at TC2000. I've got it open, of course, and we're looking at version 20.0.7. So if you're watching this in the future, things might change a little bit, but the platform has stayed pretty consistent. Hopefully the keystrokes aren't all that different, but I think generally speaking, most of what we're going to talk about will apply. Now, before we actually even get into the specifics, I just want to give one sort of section here on scanning and just why to scan in general. So what is stock scanning? Why would you even want to do that? Well, there are, let's see, 6,000, I believe, stocks. Let's see what the US common stocks list is giving us here. US stocks. So yeah, looks like TC2000 has got a list of almost 7,000 stocks out there. So there's just this tremendous universe, but we as traders only care about a very small portion of this list at any given time, right? Maybe you like to trade strong trends, or you like to trade breakouts, or you like to trade reversals. That is where scanning comes in. It is to filter down the noise, the stocks that do not fit the criteria that you actually care about, and to essentially surface and present to you the opportunity, right? It is uncovering opportunity and getting you the signal from the noise is sort of just another analogy that you could sort of think of as well. So that is why we scan for stocks. It is to find the things that we actually care about, and TC2000 is a great platform for that. All right, so let's get into it. The first way we're going to start to construct a scan, or at least we're going to go through the steps here, is by clicking on the big easy scan button here. So if you follow my mouse, you see the big easy scan button. We're going to click on that, and then we're going to click on the new condition link right up here in the top left. And when I do that, what this is basically going to present you with is a blank canvas to then start your scan. And so the first thing we can do is give it a name, right? So if you're going to start doing work here, you always want to remember to save your work, and that way you can always just bring it up at a later date. So we can just say this is a demonstration scan that we're going to run through here. And we've got basically one option for us at the start here, and it is to add a condition. Now, a condition is what makes up a condition set. Now, they've changed the terminology over the years here, but we're going to just roll with the current terminology. But basically, when you're constructing a scan, you're constructing a set of conditions, and then all of those conditions together form a set, and that is the scan you run, okay? Another way to think about it is this is just the individual criteria that you're going to build one by one like Lego blocks. And then once you save it all together, you have your full kind of scan, okay? And so we're going to show you in just a moment here how all of that works. So the first thing is, I mean, if you click on the Add Condition button, you're going to be presented with a few different options here. You're going to have choose conditions, write formula, and then you have a bunch of branches down here. We're going to talk about branches later, and we're going to do a whole separate video on flex conditions. So we're not going to address that in this video. So we're going to click on choose conditions first. And what you'll notice is we launched a add conditions window. And in this window, we do have a search box here, which is very useful. And we also just have a number of different columns here, or lists, that we can choose from, that we can add our conditions from. So this is our first path to building out a scan. There are multiple ways to sort of arrive at the same options, but this is the first one we're gonna show you. So let's start with something simple. Again, because they've split everything up here, again, it is helpful. So again, you know, if we just look at these quickly, so I'm on indicators here. So basically every indicator that you can pull up on your chart is available for you to build a scan from. You can click on fundamentals and you have all of the fundamental criteria that TC2000 offers. You have pre-built, which is their pre-built options that they have for everyone. And then my indicators, these are my actual indicators that I've built out in here. My conditions, these are all my stuff that I have built. And then they have the basic here as well. And they have options as well that you can scan on options data. So we're going to start with just something basic here. We're going to start to build our scan looking at price first. Let's just get a price condition built. And so I found it here in the basic. If you can't find something you're looking for, just go for the search. So in this case, it's price. If you were looking for, I don't know, Bollinger Bands, well, I guess when you're searching, make sure you're on the all criteria, because then if you do Bollinger Bands, you're going to start to find what you're actually looking for. So in this case, I just want to start with price. And as soon as I click on that, you'll see that price history is listed here as our first condition. And right now it says greater than 0. On the right-hand side, this is the properties for the condition. So when you start to build out multiple conditions here on the left-hand side, you can toggle between them, and your properties on the right are how you maneuver the scan or how you adjust the scan. Okay, so currently we have a scan set up here, or scan condition that is saying price history is greater than 0. Well, all stocks are basically going to meet that criteria, because if you're listed, you're trading at more than 0, let's hope. So the easiest way to just adjust that is to look at this value column down here. You see the 0, and let's just say we put in 10 here. And you can see that on the left-hand side, it is also updated. And so this is saying that price history is greater than $10, or is greater than 10, it's implied dollars. And so this is going to give us all scans, or all stocks that are above $10, that are currently trading above $10. Now, I want to bring your attention to this little icon right here, which says show counts. And so if I click on this, it is now saying, okay, based on this condition that you just wrote, price history is greater than 10. There are 3,709 stocks out of the 6,968 in our total universe that meet this condition. So this is very helpful when you're building out a scan, because you can start to see, as you add your different conditions in, you can see how specific you're getting in this scan. Okay, so let's just play that out a little bit. Let's click on $20, and you're going to have to click on refresh the options here. And you can see now there's only 2,210 stocks that are above $20. So we got more specific. There are less stocks above $20. Okay, so that is our first count options that we can use. And then that is our simple way to sort of modify the price history. Now, if I look at some of these other options here, you can see that there are some other selections that we can, use for this for just price history. There's nothing else on indicator right now, but if we click on this option here, which is condition, you can see we have a bunch of options here. And so these are pretty standard across all your different conditions that you can pull up here. So greater than, less than, is between, ranks, crossing up, moving down, change between, new high, new low. These are things that you're going to find in many different conditions that you can pull in here. And this is very helpful. So again, if you are, for instance, looking at stocks that are hitting a new high, right, we can click on this. This is now saying price history is hitting a new high. And then it's asking you here to say, well, what new high do we want to use? So here we can say, oh, well, I want to see stocks that are above a 30 bar high. And we can click on this right here to refresh our list, and you can say, oh wow, there's only 700 stocks out there that are trading at 30 bar highs right now, or 30-day highs if we're on a daily time frame. Okay, so that is very helpful. Again, always using this little refresh on the count options to see where you're at in the selection criteria that you've got chosen. Last on here is the true. This is standard across all your different options that you're going to have, or all your different properties. This is always default by now, which basically says, I want this true right now. I want this to be the current state of whatever I'm scanning on, or whatever condition I have in here. So at this point, it's saying, I want 30 bar highs right now to show me. But you may not want that. Maybe you want to say, well, I actually don't care if it's a 30 bar high today. I don't mind if it's within the last 5 days. I just want to see stocks that made 30 bar highs within the last 5 bars. So it doesn't have to be today. It could be any time over the last 5 days. Let's refresh the count. Okay, so we've just over doubled our count because clearly there have been more stocks that made 30 bar highs over 5 days than just right now. Okay, so hopefully that's clear. And you do have a couple of other options here. You can do bars in row. So I essentially now am saying I want to see 30 bar highs for 5 days in a row. Let's see what that is producing here. 270. We've gone very specific now because we have a stock that is essentially breaking out, or moving higher here recording this a tough market. Within the last X bars, or X bars ago is the last one here. So if you have a specific time in the past that you want to see a condition at, so I only want to see stocks that made 30 bar highs 3 days ago or 3 bars ago, that's what you would select here, and you can, obviously verify your results. All right, so that is just a very high level view here of what's at your fingertips in terms of building out conditions and all of the properties that you can adjust here to build out your scan. Now, I want to show a few other things here before we move on. Now, let's say that we want to use price history, but we've got something else we want to look at with price history. Notice we have no other options here except for price itself. We can only look at different conditions here based on what price is doing, but maybe we want to look at price in relation to something else, another indicator, let's call it. Okay, so what I want to show you next is this button here in the top right. This is the copy conditions to clipboard. This is one of the new features that they added. It's very, very helpful, especially when you're working with more complex, bigger scans. So if I click on this, this is copied this condition here to my clipboard, and then you'll notice as soon as I click that, this icon appears, which is paste conditions from clipboard. So I'm going to click on that, and what you're going to see here is that we just essentially duplicated exactly what we had built on just previously. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just use this second one here, and I'm going to start to modify it. So it's just a quick hack to get everything we just completed. And so in this case, I'm going to just move this to well, actually, I'm not going to touch this yet. I'm just going to say, let's put this to now. And instead of condition on new high, let's just say we're going to want to use greater than. But notice we don't want to only care about a price level, right? We don't care about price over $10. Let's say we want to see price over a moving average. So one way we can do that is now by clicking on these plus arrows here. And so they're both going to get you to the same point at this point. This is a root indicator. This is a child indicator. So you can see the hover text that is aiding that explanation. And so basically, if you wanted to have an indicator that you would put other indicators on, for instance, or if you had some descriptor about price or your chart, you can put that as a root indicator, and then you can build sub indicators or child indicators on top of it. Okay. So in this situation, we're going to click on this add child indicator. Although again, I think they're both going to get you to the same point at this time, but I'm going to use a simple moving average. So you can see I just used the search box here, and I'm going to select moving average simple. And so what this has now done is it has added this element, it has added this indicator for us to now essentially interact with, to build scan or to build a condition from. And so when I drop down the condition option here, notice I've got some extra things. I've got price history versus the moving average. This didn't exist previously. It was just this top options that we had. And so now you can see that TC2000 has given us some additional options here. It is allowing us to now scan for, build a condition for price history, price crossing above the 50 SMA, crossing below the 50 SMA, just simply above the 50 SMA, right? So we have these different options. So now let's say that we wanted to only look for stocks that are above the 50 moving average, okay? And so now we've got everything that we want to see here. We can refresh our counts, and now you can see there are 814 stocks that are making 30 bar highs. Let's just switch that to now. Let's switch this one more time. Okay, so there are 757 stocks currently making 30 bar highs. And then on this column, on this condition here, there are 2,135 stocks above a 50 period simple moving average. So that's pretty neat. Now, what you'll notice is these are ANDed together. So basically, again, when you're building out all of these individual conditions, all of these need to be true at the same time, or they all need to be true given the properties that you have given it. So again, you could always have switched it to within the last 5 bars, 2 bars ago. But whatever you build here in your properties, these are all ANDed together, which means they all need to be true or passing to present to you your final list of stocks. So if now we want to say, okay, let's actually scan on this. Let's actually see what these results are, because so far we've only seen numbers. We haven't actually seen stocks. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on apply to, and then, I should say, don't forget to always click save here. Save is just going to save all of the work that you've done, and then you can easily pull it back up later. I'm not going to save this on my machine just because it's demonstration purposes, but you're always going to want to click save here, give it a name, and then you can always pull it back up later. So right now, what we're going to do is actually see what the heck stocks are showing up on this list. So we're going to click on the apply to. It gives us a few different options here. We're going to just focus on the first one right now, is the scan results. And so we're going to click on scan results. And what we're presented with now is a watch list, which has our scan applied to it. The watch list is the US common stocks list. We have our demonstration scan applied to it. It's on a daily time frame, and you can see there are 565 stocks that currently meet that condition. And so I'm going to just click on volume here, and here it is. Here's our first scan. Is it hitting a 30 bar high? Yes, it is. Is it above this yellow line, which is the 50 SMA? Yes, it is. Let's go to the next one. Okay, new high, above, new high, above, new high, above, new high, above. Okay, looks like the scan is working. So that's an easy way for us to just see all of the results that we just built out. Now let's look at a couple of different options here. If we want to get back to editing our scan, all we have to do is click on it. So as soon as you click on it, it's going to bring up the edit conditions window exactly where we just were. And we are back here. Now let's add something else. Let's add some volume in here. Okay, so let's click on the plus arrow. We're going to say choose conditions. We're going to just write volume because that's what we're looking for here. And let's say we want volume relative to the average volume. Okay, so let's just say simple moving average again. 50 moving average on volume this time, so it's not on price. So let's now say we want the condition here, whoops, sorry, misclicked twice, above. We want the volume above the 50 moving average of volume right now. So basically, we're just saying we want this to be a higher volume session, essentially, or bar. And so again, we can click on our counts here. There are 848 stocks that currently have volume above their 50-day average. That's great. What I'm also going to do here is click this copy button. And that just took all of my conditions. So I'm going to X out the first two because I only care about the volume one. I want to add one other volume. And what I'm interested in now is actually saying, you know what? I don't want the indicator of volume. I want the indicator of the moving average of volume. And I want the moving average of volume to be over 300,000 shares. So basically here, what I've said is I want the 50-day average volume to be over 300,000 shares per day. And I want, just like we previously set up, the volume today to be over 300,000. Okay, so that's two conditions we just added there, both around volume. We can click on OK, and notice last time we had 565 results. We just added 2 additional results relating to volume. So I would expect that this number goes down. So I'm going to click on OK. And as soon as I click on OK, you can see that the scan actually refreshed and we're down to just 30 stocks that meet this condition at this time. And so let's go to our volume down here and let's just switch this to 50, just so we're comparing apples to apples and we can verify that this is an accurate list. Okay, we got an NXT up. This is clearly a heavy volume day. Twitter today, okay, so 30-day high above the 50 SMA, and take a look at this. It is passing above, or it is above the average 50-day volume. Same thing with Kaba here, same thing with FTI, so on and so forth. These results look accurate to me, and that is how you can, clearly sort of just build a scan all through clicking on the options that TC2000 has built in for us. Now, there's a couple of other things that I want to take note of. The next here is the mixed timeframes checkbox. Okay, so currently, when I click OK and when I'm looking at these results here, we're on a daily time frame. So these scans, all of these conditions that we built in, they're all being attributed to the daily time frame. And so if we said, oh, you know what, I actually am an intraday trader and I want this hourly chart to be true. Okay, so okay, we got one stock, Oracle, right now. If we go down to the hourly time frame, let's see here. Looks like we hit 30 bar highs, heavy volume. We're above the 50 SMA. Okay, and it looks like it's got the average volume like we need it to be. So that looks pretty accurate. But notice here, we've actually got a little bit of a problem with our scan now, because remember when we built out this scan, we were looking for the 50-day average volume to be over 300,000 shares. Now, it's actually pretty impressive right now that Oracle is running at over 1 million shares per hour, but that's not certainly not a daily measurement, and there's not many stocks that are going to be trading as much right now as Oracle is at this given time. So what this requires us to do, if we want this scan to be an intraday scan, but we want the average volume to be attributed to a daily time frame, we have to use this mixed timeframes selection box. And what that now allows us to do in the properties window is set the time frame for each individual condition. Each individual condition gets its own time frame that you can that you can build your condition on. So in this case, the new 30 bar high, I wanted it on the hourly chart. So we're going to have to switch to hourly. Price history above the 50. Yep, I wanted that on the hourly as well. Volume above the 50-day average is what I wanted. So I'm keeping this on daily, and the average 50-day volume is going to be over 300,000 shares. I'm keeping this on daily as well. I'm going to click on OK, and here we go. So we've got more stocks now that meet these conditions because we've got the volume sorted out to how we want. So now when we're looking at this list, we're on an hourly chart right now. Twitter is at 30 bar highs. It's above our 50 SMA. That's exactly what we wanted. Notice it is not above our hourly volume because it's not the hourly, it's the daily that we are selecting volume on. And yes, there it is. The daily volume is above the 50-day average, and the 50-day average is over 300,000. Okay, so that is how you can use the mixed time frames. It's very useful. And I also want to show you one other little kind of trick here that you can use. So if I unselect this and I click OK, remember they're all going to use this right here, which is the 1 hour. So I'm going to just switch this back to daily. So this means all of the conditions are currently on the daily time frame once again. But what I can actually do is, you see this little time frame link here. We talked about linking in one of our old foundation videos. So you can check, I think, video number 2, I believe, or 1 around time frame linking. We discussed this, but we can select a color here. And so let's just put blue on here for our time frame linking. And what we now can do is on our chart, there's that little T again, which is the time frame link. And if we put this on blue, these are now considered to be linked up. And so now if, for instance, let's just say I had this all, I'm going to put this right over here. So there's our demonstration scan. It's on the left-hand side. It's right in here, but it's got the blue time frame. So now if I switch this to a weekly time frame, you'll notice all of this just updated, and the entire scan, all of those conditions, those 4 conditions, are being monitored or scanned on the weekly time frame. Okay, so this just makes it very easy if I am, keeping a watch list on the left-hand side with a scan applied to it. As I go throughout my analysis throughout the day and I'm clicking through different time frames, the scan is updating. This is obviously very helpful in some situations. Maybe there's other scans that you just always want on the daily chart, in which case, obviously it should not be linked. But I think this is a cool little trick that many people miss with TC2000. It's just a good way to optimize automatic sort of refreshes as you change your view on an actual chart. Okay, now a couple of last options here that we're going to discuss before we wrap up for today's lesson. We've got refresh options here that we can talk about. So if you look here, I'm going to just expand this. If you look at this right here, this is the refresh interval, which is set to 30 seconds. If I want to refresh the scan immediately, I can just click on this, and that's going to refresh. If there's any results, it's just going to populate here. Currently, there's no results. Let's actually take this linking off just so we can see some results, and let's put this back to a daily time frame. And there it is. Okay, so now we've got some results. As soon as I click refresh here, and it shows the time it was last refreshed. Now, we can also set different options here. So manual means this will not refresh the results until you actually click the button. And this is useful because maybe you don't want to lose the results in here that you see. So for instance, if you keep this on real time, let's say, you look at this list and you say, ooh, I really like, PUMP and VIST, and like these are 2 stocks I want to pay attention to. Well, if suddenly this is on automatic refresh and it drops from the list and then you can't remember it, or you didn't add it to a watch list quick enough, then, you're kind of out of luck. So you've got some different options there. These are pretty self-explanatory. The select date on chart is actually pretty cool though. This is also another feature I don't think many people take advantage of or even realize exists. You can specify on the chart when you wanted to run that scan. So this is for kind of historical purposes, or just even to see what things looked like slightly in the past. Or again, let's just say, you know, you wanted to see just a few minutes ago how many stocks were meeting this condition at this specific time, October 20th, 2022 at 3 p.m. Here's your list. This is very cool. Helps when you're building scans, you're researching different things. I use it a lot, and it's just very practical there. So take advantage of that as well. I will say, so I'll put this back to manual. A couple of other ways you can construct scans. Basically, anytime you have a indicator on your chart, anything down here with this drop down window, you can actually build a scan from these drop downs as well. So for instance, let's just click on daily time frame here. Let's click on this drop down, and you see this create condition option. Well, if you click on that, it's going to just open up a brand new edit conditions window where you can start to construct a scan or set of conditions, just like we did the other way. Okay, so this is just essentially another option, another way to get to building a scan in TC2000. So that's very helpful. And again, you could use the copy and paste. You can bring some different things in here, add it to this demonstration scan, so on and so forth. That's a good way to start to get more advanced and quicker when you're starting to build these things out. The other comment I'll make is, so if I click on NASDAQ 100 here, anytime you pull up a general watch list in TC2000, the scan box is always available, but it's always unchecked because you're just opening up a watch list. But as soon as you click on scan, you now get the scan conditions option, and then you can click on that, and then you're suddenly at your edit conditions window. So again, this is another little inlet here to start to build out conditions, condition sets, and full developed scans. All right, so I think that covers everything I wanted to talk about TC2000 scanning as it relates to the point and click, no coding required. Remember, you've got tons of indicators. We just scratched the surface. We use the very basic price and volume, but you can use everything that is built into TC2000 here and construct very complex scans. One thing we are going to do separately here is to talk about these branches of ands and ors and flex. We're going to do a separate video on that as well. By default, these are always brought up as ands. You can see all the ands here on the left-hand side, which basically says this needs to be true, and this needs to be true, and this needs to be true, and this needs to be true. Once, the Venn diagram of the middle of all of those things is what your scan result set is. But you can switch it with flex conditions and ors, and you can nest them in some interesting ways, which we're going to talk about later. I think everything else we talked about, scan plot summaries, again, separate video for that. I just don't want to keep dragging on this one. So hopefully you found this video helpful. We have a lot of scans on our website, and we have other tutorials. We're going to do some more tutorials here on scanning. So if you need more, we have it for you at the Trade Risk, sort of your home here for all things TC2000 scanning. This is one of our specialties. We've been doing it for a very long time. So please reach out to us if you need some more help. If you need custom scans developed by myself, I do that for folks every single week, basically. And so, reach out if you've got some things you want to build yourself. If you run into roadblocks, happy to assist. So that is it. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to check out thetraderisk.com, subscribe to our newsletters, and check out our other Worden TC2000 foundational tutorial videos. Thanks so much. Good luck out there, and have fun building some scans.